Have you ever felt like you react a certain way to things in life and have absolutely no control over it? Or maybe you've kept hitting the same sticking point no matter how much therapy or inner work you've done. Well, here's why. When stress hits, your body has a move that it runs to before you even think about it. It doesn't give you a choice or a say in the matter. Stress, in this sense, is just the literal definition, which is a state of emotional or mental strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. Now, maybe the circumstances aren't like super adverse or truly demanding, but in our mind, in our nervous system, they're perceived that way based on our lived experiences. So stress hits, then your body has a default setting that it taps into. Once that stress hits, maybe you go into overdrive. You start checking boxes, checking stuff off your to-do list, answering emails, doing 3 things at once. You just get busy. Maybe you snap. Everything gets sharper and more serious. Your tone, your pace, your energy, your need for control. Or maybe you shut down. You go blank, you get quiet, you put things off, you go for a long late night scroll, you disappear into yourself. Or maybe you're one of those people who smiles and nods and says yes when you're already drowning and when you really mean no. Because disappointing people feels more dangerous than running yourself dry the way that you have been. We all do something. We all respond to stress in a certain way. And it happens so fast it feels automatic. And here's the thing. It actually is automatic. That's your nervous system. And it responds to stress with dysregulation and one of these 4 ways that I just described, unless you take control over the pattern and you increase your capacity for more better. If you're new to my channel or are new to the nervous system or both, my name is Sid Scott and I created this channel to help you slow down, to help you feel more like yourself while creating a life that actually needs no escape. In this video, I'm going to break down the 4 common default settings that the nervous system has. In this video, I'm going to break down the 4 most common default settings and how you can begin to shift out of it for good in as little as 60 seconds. Watch till the end to really understand which of the default settings is you and how you can shift out of it for good if that's something that you want. Now, your nervous system is kind of like your body's alarm system or security system. It's constantly scanning. Safe, not safe, safe, not safe. And the moment it thinks that something is even slightly off, something small like a text message with a period at the end or someone's tone shifting just a little bit, it reacts. And it does not just react randomly, even though it might feel random. It's got a favorite move, a default setting. That's why you maybe notice yourself doing the same thing over and over again, even when you swore that you would handle it differently. But I have good news. Once you know your default setting, your default response, you can start to see it really quickly in real time. And once you can see it quickly, you get something that most people never have, which is the power to choose something different. So let's break these settings down one by one. And your part is to notice which one of these is most like you, which one seems most like you. So the first move is overdrive. You get stressed and suddenly you're moving like super fast, doing all of the things. It's emails, it's phone calls, it's text messages, it's cleaning, it's organizing, just doing, busy with no being. And you feel like if you keep moving, the feeling like over here won't catch you. Rest feels suspicious if this is your default setting, and stillness feels unsafe. Maybe that's you. The next one is the control move. Stress hits and everything in you just tightens. You talk louder. You push harder. You argue and feel a need to be right or make your point. You need to be in charge of what happens next, or else it feels like the world is closing in. And you don't just get things done casually, you dominate them. Maybe that's you. The third move is the shutdown move. Stress shows up and you stop showing up. You go quiet. Your mind gets foggy. Decisions start to feel impossible. And you procrastinate, not because you're lazy, but because your body is on pause. It's like your system pulled on the e-brake. Maybe that's you. And this last one is for my people pleasers. It's the keep the peace move once the stress arrives. And what happens is you disappear into everyone else's needs. You smile, you nod, you agree, you read the room. You become whatever version of yourself that you need to become to keep things calm, to smooth everything over. And you hold the peace for everyone else, even if it costs you your own. Maybe that's you. So do you see what I mean? We all have one of these, or maybe even a combination of these. And usually one of them shows up faster, stronger, and harder than the rest. That's your default. Now, let's clear something up. You have a default setting, and maybe you don't like it very much, or you want to change it. Well, first, I need you to know that this default response, it doesn't happen because you're weak or you're broken or just like this, like that's just the way I am. That's something I hear a lot of people say. Your nervous system picked that move a long time ago because it worked. If getting louder kept you safe, your body remembered. If running away helped the situation, your body remembered. If shutting down protected you, your body remembered. If people pleasing and dissolving into everyone else's needs prevented conflict and kept you safe, again, your body remembered. And so now that same move is still running, even in situations where you don't necessarily need it anymore. And that's the crazy part. Your nervous system never asks the question, does this still make sense? 10, 15, maybe 30 years later. It just reacts. It doesn't automatically update like our iPhones do, or like your Androids do, and I'm shading you if you use Androids. But you get what I'm saying. But here's the thing that I really need you to take away. A pattern that you don't see is a pattern that runs you. But a pattern that you can name is a pattern that you can change. So I want you to be able to name the pattern very clearly by the end of this video and know which one is your default setting. So now let me break each of these down just a bit further. Default one is overdrive. If this is your default setting, then stress makes you speed up. Your nervous system tells you that motion, busyness equals safety. So if the stress hits you at work, you dive into all of the busy, maybe even easy tasks, not even the ones that are due right away, but just the easy ones, and you avoid the hard conversation. You just stay busy. If the stress hits you at home, you multitask, you keep moving just so you don't have to deal with the tension. In your body, what happens is your breathing might get like a little bit shallow. You might have restless legs, or your hands get fidgety or jittery, and maybe you get like a jittery stomach even. And there's just this constant hum of just go, 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 go. And it looks productive, but chances are, if you really sit back and think about it, it doesn't actually feel productive. And it's you actually running away from the sensation, from a feeling of some sort. Default 2. This is the controller. Controller. No, the controller, not the Drake song. That was corny, I know, but bear with me. If this is you, stress makes you press harder. Stress makes you push. Stress makes you fight. You believe, or at least your nervous system believes, safety is in controlling things. Safety is in control. So if this happens to you, if stress hits you when you're at work, you start to take over everything. You become a micromanager. You get irritated when people aren't moving fast enough. All of a sudden, it's like nobody's moving fast enough. Or if this stress kind of enters your relationships, you start arguing to win. you start like raising your voice to volume that like isn't necessary, but like you have to raise your volume to be heard and to win. And in your body, your jaw starts to clench and gets tight. You start to literally feel heat rising in your chest, right? Or maybe your fists get tight, or you like literally start to see red. You don't mean to scare people, but like your energy just starts to feel sharp. And I want to give you a quick perspective as a man whose clients are 99% women. Most men actually do want to provide and they actually want to lead, but those men can sense this type of energy and this type of stress response from a mile away, okay? And that doesn't make you bad. It just makes connection with that type of man like so much harder than it needs to be. Now, let's talk about default number 3. This is the shutdown. If this is your default setting, what feels like stress, or when stress comes into the picture, it makes you freeze. Everything starts to slow down. If this hits you at work, you just stare at the screen, you avoid emails or you avoid projects. You delay decisions that you need to make. If stress hits you in like a relationship context, you nod along, you say, I don't know, or you just start zoning out mid-conversation. Now, what happens in your body is this feels like heaviness, or it might feel like numbness, or you might get some pretty serious brain fog. Or like you feel the urge to take a nap, and it's one of those naps that you have a really difficult time waking up from. And in a way, like, sure, you protect yourself from overwhelm, but you also miss chances and opportunities. Now, let's talk about default 4, the last one, which is keeping the peace. If this is you, any type of stress makes you blend into the environment, blend into other people. Your nervous system ultimately learned and tells you, like, if they're okay, and only if they're okay, then I'm safe. So how this shows up at work is you have a tendency to overcommit. You say yes so that you can keep everyone happy, even when it burns you out. And how this shows up in relationships is you apologize for everything, even the things that like there's no way it's your fault. And what happens in your body is your throat gets tight. If this is your default setting, it often shows up in your throat. Or maybe your chest caves, like your chest starts to get tight. And the most telltale sign is you just give off a smile that hides how you really feel. You become the version of yourself that costs you the least amount of conflict, essentially, but also the most authenticity. So pause a moment in the video here. Which one feels most familiar? Which one feels most like you? And it's normal to see ourselves in all 4, but one usually shows up first. That's the one that you want to pay the most attention to. So now that you know your default setting and you commented it below, let's talk about what you can do about it. I promised you a way at the beginning of the video to interrupt your default setting and start to change it in as little as 60 seconds. Here it is. Step 1, the most important step, is noticing. Catch your body in the act. Catch your body red-handed in the act. Once the stress hits, catch it in the act. Do you start speeding up? Do you start pushing harder? Do you start pausing and ultimately freezing? Or do you start pleasing? Once you've caught it, you want to shift something physical. You want to shift the physical variable for about 20 seconds or so. So if you're the one who speeds up, then you literally just want to stand up, plant both of your feet on the ground, press down, and breathe into your belly. If you have a tendency to push and press, you want to make sure that you unlock your jaw, relax your shoulders a little bit, and exhale slowly as if you're blowing out through a straw, like that. Now, if you're pausing and like freezing, then you want to do the opposite. You want to actually introduce some movement. So you can start humming, you can start shaking, you can start bouncing, and just get a little bit of movement going for just 20 seconds. Now, if you're the pleaser, the one who tries to smooth everything over to keep the peace, what you have to do is just take a hand and place it on your chest, maybe over your heart, and just ask, what do I need right now? What is it that I actually want? What do I need? And the last step here is just making a micro choice, not a huge life overhaul. Because again, you don't want to, if you saw my last video, you don't want to run before you regulate, and you don't want to reason before you regulate. But I break that down in my last video. What you need to do is just take one small action that's different from your default setting. So if you have a tendency to sprint and get busy and start going fast once you start to notice stress, just pause before you answer. If you're the type who needs to press and force and go hard, just pause and ask one genuinely curious question. And if you have a tendency to freeze, just pick one small action, one physical action, and set a timer. And if you're a people pleaser, just say this simple sentence, let me get back to you. Just let me get back to you. Say that instead of yes right away. That's it. Notice, shift, micro choice, small choice. This isn't going to erase the pattern overnight. And the truth is, these patterns, they have to be reprogrammed over time. But it will definitely soften it. Even you just watching this video will soften it, hopefully. And every time you do it, every time you lean into this 60-second process and choose something different, your nervous system starts to learn, hey, we're safe. We actually have more options. Now, here's one more tool that I want to give you. If you forget all of the rest of the stuff that we talked about in the moment, that's fine. Just see if you can remember this one line that I'm about to say. When you feel the pattern taking over, when you feel the pattern, as a response to the stress that hits, just say this: I have more options than my body is giving me right now. I have more options than the one my body's offering. This sentence alone can create just enough space to make that micro shift and choose something different in the moment. So your nervous system has default settings. It picked its move a long time ago because it worked. And now it's running parts of your life without you realizing it. And the point isn't to get rid of the patterns: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. They all have a place. The goal is to stop living trapped in one of them, because life ultimately becomes bigger and better when you have range. And what I mean by that is you can push when it matters and when it makes sense and when you need to, but that's not your only mode. You can rest when it's necessary so that you can actually heal and recover. You can soften when it's necessary to actually experience more genuine and intimate connection. And you can stand firm when it really counts. And it all starts with this: spot your default, notice it in real time, run the 60-second reset that we talked about, and remind yourself, I have more options than the one my body is offering. Do that, and you stop living on autopilot. You start living with choice. You start responding instead of reacting. And choice is what your nervous system didn't have back then when it decided on this default setting that it uses now. That's the healing. You giving yourself options that your younger self never got. So, what's your default setting? Drop it in the comments. And if this video hit home, then consider sticking around. This channel is all about slowing down, and I upload 3 times a week. And I'm here to help you regulate and reconnect to who you really are and who you really be. And if you felt like this video was a little bit long, understand that, no worries. If you want the shorter insights, then you definitely want to give me a follow on TikTok. I'll go ahead and link that down below. My name is Sid Scott. I hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.